happening in this moment. So there you go, guys. You guys have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, teacher. Wait a minute, because Johanna have internet problems, but she is going to connect. So we are waiting that she connects up. I hope it doesn't take long.
Because remember, we've got 5 minutes, so.
I am here, guys.
There we go. So you may start now, guys.
Ashley.
Okay, so internet use. Watching how we go. The people will decide to spend more time online. Let's look at each other. Last year on this, we had to be forced to get used to this issue of online education, to communicate between our classmates and teachers via WhatsApp or email. Not only education, otherwise shopping, medical appointments, transactions, etc. And I have not seen yet a relevant change in the people wanting to stop spending time on the internet. Maybe the people change their mind when health is affected, as an example. The thumbs when we scroll down or scroll up on the cell. In this case, could there be a change?
Okay. Next, the people. I'm sorry. The people may create alternative societies online because the internet is a global network that influences communication today. We carry out most of daily activities in the internet. For example, share or send a photo, order a pizza, watch series on Netflix, or play online. For this reason, it transforms our habits and possibilities of communication. But the idea is not to let it become a distraction. On the other hand, people dissatisfied with society will find alternative ways of living online, which generates a misuse of the internet and an alteration in the process of knowledge, learning, and development of a person in a society.
Okay, we see human interactions have changed. The way we could have a friend from Indonesia or Germany without having to leave our house, but with the danger of sharing our information without knowing who really is behind a profile photo or a DM. Privacy is something that each person needs to be care of. Using platforms like YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter also modify our habits and the ways in which we relate to people. A huge warning is how we dehumanize relationships, the gestures, glances, and physical contact that we need in order to create significant bonds with human beings. Just think about how we don't have communication skills anymore. When you go to a family or a friend reunion and everyone is on their phones, their computers, or watching TV, having the privilege to benefit from internet cannot make us lose our human ability to express effectively.
So what do you think if I told you that it's possible to store all your memories and thoughts and the internet? I think that will be possible in a few years because the technology nowadays have advanced to the point that we already have the beginning of artificial intelligence and the immersion total class. With this in mind, it's not unreasonable to think about the memory stored in the cyberspace. because I think it's a solution to the problem that many people have, that is the memory. I think that development will be helped to a lot to the next generation and more to the older adults, because they could access their memories at any time with a simple click. And this is all for the presentation, teacher.
Well, guys, thank you very much. I really, really like it. To me, this is a very interesting experiment just to see how this presentation format actually works in this context, in the context of a class. Because these kinds of formats are used only by actually experts, people who know exactly how to use it and stuff. And I think this is the first time you are using it. And it gives a completely different dynamic to the presentation itself. I would say that I really like it. And apart from that, apart from the format itself, just, I mean, the progression of the topic was very interesting. How you progress to the topic until the point in which you somehow projected your ideas and well, how you actually answer the question regarding how that is going to change in the future. And actually, well, that's something we can discuss later. But that has, I mean, that's something which is already happening. I mean, how technology is somehow displacing the way we communicate, and apart from that, our own use of the memory itself. We don't memorize telephone numbers anymore. We don't sometimes we don't even know directions to get to a place, but we just use maps, for instance, or Waze. You see, so that's very interesting to see. So guys, thank you very much for that presentation. It was just wonderful. um and that's it. That was great. So let me just, I'm just registering your participation over here. So I'm sure that I've got all my notes in place. Um, there you go, guys. There you go. So I don't know if you guys have any comment of your about your own presentation. That is optional, but by the end of a presentations, you guys can tell me, any sort of comment regarding how you guys felt doing this presentation with that format. That would be interesting also to know.
I want to
Yeah, please.
say something.
Please.
I really like it because I never heard about that.
Mhm,
I mean, I heard that there are many like ways in which we can make presentations because like Asia has different
mhm,
like options or strategies that are interesting and that doesn't like became well known in this continent.
mhm, mhm.
So I really appreciate that you tell us about it and I enjoy it. It was fun.
Great, great, great. Yeah, and and the pace, the speed of it itself is it's very interesting because it's like it really calls your attention. In the way every single word guides the conversation. I really like it. Okay, guys, so let me just share my screen so we see who is next. Let's see. So I think you see my screen now, right? There you go. So let's roll this crazy dice. So let's see what's the next group. Next group is the group number 5. The group number 5, we have Clara Monroy, Diana Palacios, and Tatiana Espitia. So you guys have got the floor.
Yeah, teacher, sorry. Can you read about this? Guys having a little issue, but we're gonna show you in a moment.
Okay, because we are running out of time, guys, and I'm also worried about this energy supply thing. So if they just cut the supply like at 8, that would be sad. Well, guys, so I don't know if you guys will be able to present then. If you guys are not ready.
It's not that we're not ready. I don't know what happened to her. I mean, she's saying that the computer is not working, not her microphone. I don't know what's happening to her. Sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna continue with another group then. So we don't get so we get to have all the presentations. So let's see which is going to be the next group then. That's the group number 1. In the group number 1, as you may know, we've got David Torres and Magdalene Ojeda. So guys, you've got the floor.
Hello, teacher. Let me
Hold
share
on,
my
sir.
screen.
Yes, please.
Teacher,
Mhm.
we are me, David Torres, Michael Cortez, and Alexander Mutis.
Great, guys. May start now.
Well, teacher, we have the part of national borders. So the question number 1 is that I think that national police will not change his opinion about the immigrants can enter to a country because they cannot moving like freedom. And I think that it could be because some documents from other countries can be different. For example, the ID cards from Colombia are different to an ID card from I don't know from European countries. And also I think that it could be not possible because some passports from some people cannot be accepted in some countries, and there are like a lot of restrictions in some countries, especially in South America. In Europe, you can like enter to the country without problems. Well, a little bit, a little problems because in every country we will it will be a problem. So the question number 2 is for my colleagues.
Okay, in my opinion, building walls will be extreme, not only by the government, but also by the people. The very fact of building a wall is already a limitation for people's movements. Limit time that can be set to avoid threats or migrations can take place without the need to be extremists. I don't know, believe that a freedom as great as that of life and the right to freedom should be restricted by limits, because that could be led to absurdize. So for that reason, one place where we have already seen that this could happen is in the United States, one of the countries with high migration due to its high quality of life. I think that as in the previous example, the foreign people will feel discriminated against because of their nationality 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 or even their skin tone. We must understand that the integrity doesn't make us polite, and that is what demonstrates that extreme limitations of a country. That diversity and opportunities are only for special people and not. We must provide equal opportunities for all, whether they are from our country or not.
So we have the question number 3, Michael Alexander, sorry.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the question number 3, that is, what effect will national borders have on traditions and cultures. There will be more diversity. Cultures and traditions will be a little bit mixed. Uh, Although to my way of seeing it, uh, I don't think there will be any significant effect because borders, I think that are all only access routes to countries. Um, and I think it's a different issue from culture and traditions, not a really, really important.
And the last one is for Michael.
Yes. Okay, I am going to talk about the fourth question. It is, what language will people speak, or will there be just one universal language? And yes, I think that we have a universal language because, okay, we are divided for the different language around the world, but it have a universal language that unites to all of everyone, and this is the feelings. Okay, the feelings are the universal language because everyone understands it by the same way. To be happy, to be sad, happy, angry, falling in love, etc. And this is the same in everywhere in around the world. The feelings is the same thing. For that, the feelings make the world go around, and okay, it make a special connection belong everyone. So okay, and also we can communicate with feelings with say nothing, in special with the love feeling. I think that this is the most powerful feeling and the most important. And I think that we can live in harmony with love for everyone, to the life, and to people and everything. I think so.
Okay, guys. So thank you very much for that. You guys took a little bit longer than expected. So guys, something we should take into account whenever we do presentations is that time limits are something very, very important. And whenever you present in an event, for example, if there is a congress or something, they will be very serious about that. So for instance, if they say to you, you've got 10 minutes, you've got they will be telling you how much time you're taking. And then by the end, if you haven't finished and time is over, you will still have to cut your presentation. So that means that there is a risk of not covering everything that you have proposed, you see? So it is really important to take that into account and be aware of time and try to fulfill that, because at the end of the day, that's a condition of presentations. Whenever you do that in events like congress, like a congress, or like a say symposium or something like that, you have to be aware of that. You wanted to say something, David?
No, teacher.
Okay, there we go. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we need to speed up a little bit again. Remember that I've got this timer in which I'm taking the time in case this one, I'm using this timer. So every time you start, guys, I start the timer again. So let's see who's gonna be the next group, guys. The next group is the group number 2. And in the group number 2, we have Felipe, John, and Lina. Guys, so you've got the floor.
Okay, teacher.
Okay,
Could
thank
you
you,
please?
teacher.
No, nothing. Okay, teacher. So, well, good morning. And we are going to be covering about the national borders. So our work is John and Lina, as you said. So let's start.
Yeah, well, so let's get started with the topic about borders. I think that borders will remain on Earth in the future. Those are not going to disappear for different reasons. For instance, those borders clarify what belong to each country, avoiding different problematics and misunderstanding around the world. So, for instance, one important factor, as I said, is the territory. Let's imagine if the border disappeared, we could find different hard situations in which countries can get mixed up and in disputes for the territories they believe belong to them. Likewise, it have to identify people who access to a country in order to avoid dangers for that country. Well, on the other hand, talking about national borders and foreigners access, one important factor also is the passport or IDs. I don't think those are gonna disappear at all. Instead, I guess that those documents and requirements will be adapted to make easier the way in which they control the foreigners' access, but also the process for foreigners in order to get those documents or requirements. All this based on technological advances, of course.
Okay, talking about like the next thing, I'm going to say that those borders are going to become stricter because just for the fact that people are entering to the country without like legal conditions, so that is gonna become like so hard, and also people are going to react not well because there are gonna be strangers, so maybe people will start thinking that they are going to steal or something like that. As we realize that example, the real example that we have here in Colombia, that people are entering without. Some people enter to do something good, but not all people enter. And finally, well, they are going to start building like more walls in order like to work with the safety of the country, because that is not something that all people can enter just because, but there need like to be like like legal things.
Well, about the language is a powerful instrument of communication with others. Through it, people can express their ideas, emotion, and feelings. So when you speak, you not only are saying information, but you are also transmitting cultural aspects with your language. So it is possible that there be just one universal language through which people can communicate each other. Well, there are about more than 7,000 languages around the world. So the idea that it exists just one universal language will never happen. Is almost impossible that all the countries, all the communities, and all the people will speak the same language. Because the cultural language barrier, the language is one aspect, and if a large part of the cultural identity of each country and each community will be lost because the language is an important characteristic, is the sense of belonging to a certain region, and it represents a part of the culture from some place. Although it is not possible for there to be a single universal language, there is what is known as a lingua franca. It is a language adapted for a common understanding between people who don't have the same mother tongue. An important characteristic of a lingua franca is that it's a general purpose language used in a spoken context for communication between different groups or people from different nationalities.
So here, as I was saying, people are not going to trust in anyone because they are going to be like knowing people. So they are not going to trust at all and will be like not feel comfortable when they go out to the street.
And for example, if interculturality is growing today, so learning from other cultures and adapting to another is more common than before. And if national barriers are broken, the effect it can cause may be positive for some, because the discriminatory and documentary treatment for traveling to some country will be broken, and there will be no need to have a visa or a special permit to go into some countries. So people could travel easier.
Yes. Well, additionally, one of the disadvantages if the borders are reinforced is that many people can have less opportunities to access to other countries because the requirements increase, and also they don't have the opportunity to get familiar with the customs or the lifestyle of other people from other places, which as a consequence sometimes can increase friction between different groups around the world. And that would be the presentation, teacher.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. So just a little disclaimer, every time you see I click on this reaction, this one, this blue thing icon there, it means that the time is over, so you need to speed up a little bit just in case. So even though you guys exceeded the time as well, but just for a minute. But apart from that, I think the pace of a presentation was very good. If we guys compare the 3 presentations we've had so far, we see somehow different paces. I mean, there were basically 3 different paces. In the case of the very first presentation, as they were using a script, they had a script, which is an option actually. They had this script. It helped them to somehow stick better to the time limit, and also the presentation was very fluid because of the same thing. Although you have to be very careful when you use a script in any sort of format of presentation, you have to be very careful, because the punctuation or the way you read your own punctuation could play against you. You see, that was not the case, but the point is that we've got to be careful. In the case of a second presentation, perhaps they exceeded the time a little bit more, because they had a completely different kind of pace. So the pace we had in the previous presentation, in the second one this morning, the pace of it was more similar to the pace of a casual conversation in some cases. So that means that, when we talk like this, that you say like, perhaps we can do this and that. You see, it takes more time, and then it somehow creates a little disconnection. I know, David, that little blue icon gets you nervous. That's right. But when you are in an event, it's even worse, because they show you like a little piece of paper or something, or on screen they say, for instance, you got 5 minutes, you got 2 minutes, you've got 1 minute, time is over. So it's like you are under pressure all the time, and that's something that we also need to be able to work on. There you go, guys. So let us see who's the next group to present this morning. So it's the group number 9. Group number 9. So in the group number 9, we've got just one person. Oh my God, Nicole. So are you gonna present alone?
No, teacher, I talk with Lorena Valero.
Okay, and she's here, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you guys may start now. So guys, I will start the timer right now. So we should start like in this moment. Are you guys there? Hello?
Wait, teacher, give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay, 1 second. That's it. So are you gonna start now? Please, guys. The thing is that I'm really concerned about the time. I'm feeling like, I don't know, this is a very uncomfortable situation. Like anytime they will just get my energy cut. So that's really sad, guys. So let's start.
Okay, teacher. Where, where? Our topic is climate change, and the first question is about how increase the climate change. This is burning fossil, cutting down forests, and farming livestock. Those aspects increase the climate change because most of the time uh, people cut the trees and those help us with the healthy life because the benefits of the trees give us the good air and improve our healthy life with water and something like that. And the other hand, we have the burning coal. This produce the cars and the transportation. And the other, we have the increased livestock that is cows and sheep produce large amounts and on most of the time when they digest their food, increase the producing many things that don't healthy to the climate for this increase those climate change. And for solution for that, we have a lot of things, but in this case, it's important that we know that is recycle. We know that is the plastic and so on, but most of the people don't uh, do that because a thing is boring or maybe don't know how to do that recycle. For this is complicated. We need to maybe teach those at the school or maybe at work to do that. And the other, we have the sustainable community. This is use and another by to transportation, for example, bicycles or maybe walk and other things that help that be healthy to the wearer. And the other hand, we have the safe energy and consumption. Because when we are at home or maybe at work, always turn on all the lights, and it's not healthy. And we need to improve those activities that is no help the earth. And that's it. Now we continue with my classmate Lauren.
Okay, question number 3. The potential impact is enormous for us. There will be predictions of a lack of clean water, big change in the conditions for food production, and an increase in death rates due to floods, storms, droughts, and heat waves. We must take care of our natural resources and be more aware of the use of water. And the question number 4, the different groups will be more affected if they do not have their natural resource. In this way, droughts can also occur, and the death of animals, plants, and river overflows. And that's it, teacher.
Oh, okay, guys. So we've got a little problem here with the presentation. And that's that you didn't use the format that we proposed. Remember that all the presentations had to use exactly the same format, and that was the Takahashi format, which means that, and we said that in case you decided to use a different format, the presentation wouldn't be graded over 5, but over 3. So the maximum grade that you could get if you used a different format was that 3. That would be the maximum. As we see that being aware of the time that you're taking for your presentation is essential. And actually, look, in terms of time, you were good. You had 13 seconds extra. We have to be aware of the time, we also need to be aware of the instructions. because that changes
Okay,
the
teacher, sorry.
context completely. Yeah, I get it, but the point is that every time we give those details, we've got to be extremely careful, because there are cases in which instructions, I mean, several cases in which instructions are a key part of the grading system. That happens a lot with international tests. So that's something we need to take into account. And also, apart from that, regarding the formats themselves, actually, I was listening to a meeting yesterday from another team. It was not my team, but they were talking about how to prepare. I mean, they were talking about a webinar they were preparing for an event, but all the characteristics they were giving about it were the characteristics of a workshop, you see. So that has to do a little bit with instructions and formats. So you might say like, okay, I will prepare a lecture for this Congress, and then you end up preparing a workshop, and perhaps you are not fully aware of that because you didn't focus that much on the instruction. So that's something also that we need to be extremely careful with, because that can have lots of different implications when doing any sort of thing. So that's something you could do in the form of a checklist, for instance. So it's like, okay, we need to do a presentation. Are there any particular instructions? So in our case, there were two. 5 minutes Takahashi format. So with those restrictions, then you can start planning, and that's going to help you a lot. There you
Yes,
go.
teacher, sorry, we forgetting.
There you go. No worries, guys. So let's see which is the next group. Next group will be the group number 2 again. No, I think it's better to give the chance to another one. So the group number 9 already presented as well, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it's the one we just had. So the group number 6, and that is Diana, Miguel Angel, and Nicolas. Guys, please, you've got the floor. There you go.
Okay. Hello.
Start now.
Our topic is humans and technology. Um, okay. Thanks to technology, it has managed to streamline and automate processes that were tedious for men. It has been able to shorten distance, store large amounts of information, and process them. It has given us new possibilities that humans didn't consider conceivable in the past. But have we thought about the negative consequences? I think not. Um, sorry. Yeah. Humans will rely on technology to do every cleaning and daily chores that we have done over the years. It is impressive how in a relatively short period of time we have become the most machine-dependent generation. On the other hand, technology will replace human labor and it will lose value. They will generate more employment and there will be change worldwide. Um, but having free time, people will be able to pursue different hobbies or pursue their vocation.
So now, oh my God. Okay, it is so first, it is important to know that that nowadays we are constantly connected to new technological devices, like cell phones, televisions, computers, tablets, smartwatches, among others. Additionally, we use a lot of apps that are useful for us. Even people can become dependent on virtual assistants like Cortana, Sam, or Siri. Therefore, technology has become an awesome tool in the entire world. That is the reason why we consider that technology is and will be our companionship, because when we feel bored, we use our gadgets to chat with our friends or watch videos or play video games. In a few words, technology has become in a part of our lives. On the other hand, with the technological advances that are being made by day after day, we suppose that in a future we will have the possibility of having a robot as a friend or to keep us company. But it will generate a change in the way humans relate to each other because robot can understand all the feelings and thoughts that people have.
Well, guys, now I will name some advantages of technology in human life. Yeah. So, well, the first one, it will improve the quality of life of humans. Well, the other things, the machines will take care of the daily task. Yeah. So, leaving us more time to share with our families. Well, the other thing is if technology advances, it will help humanity a lot in the file of health. The other thing is it can contribute to efficiency of other sectors, such as, for example, transport. Yeah. So, well, yeah, and the last one, it creates new sources of, of employment.
Well, now we got some disadvantages. One of them is that um, can generate ethical dilemmas. Um, it will replace the human part of people, simulate social isolation. The this one got digital privacy problems. It will replace human labor and will have less economic value, and this will lead to social inequality. If we become dependent of technology when we do not have it for some reason, the person can research a state of insanity and may generate negative changes in the environment.
Okay, guys, so you
That's
just
it.
finished right on time. So, well, this is quite a very interesting topic, and as you guys were presenting and talking about, especially when you were talking about employment, there is a topic that you may want to perhaps read a little bit more about, and this is for all of you guys, and that is what is the fourth industrial revolution, which is basically about that, about what you guys just said, and it has to do with how there are going to be some jobs that will be that will be lost to technology, and how well technology has been having a very serious impact on the labor market, as you guys mentioned. So this is quite a very interesting topic, and thank you very much for opening that. Okay, guys. So let's see who's going to be the next group. I'm sorry. So let's see. Let's see what's the next group. So the next group should be the group number 5. I don't remember if we already had that group. Oh, this is a second call for the group number 5, which is Clara, Diana, and Tatiana. Are you guys ready this time?
Sorry, so Clara, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second.
Okay, guys, so please start. I will start a timer in no time. That's a funny thing to say. So please. Let's hope they don't cut my energy supply, because they said it would be around 8, but I haven't been notified about anything. So hopefully they won't do it yet. Because that would be really sad. But still, we need to speed up, guys. We need to speed up. So guys, I think we'll have to reassign the turn to another group because we cannot wait that long, guys. I'm sorry about that. We're gonna roll the dice again, so we'll see if there is another group which might be ready now. So let's see which should be the next group then. Group number 6, we already had it. Group number 2, we already had it as well. Group number 4, I think we haven't had it. So Camila and Melissa, are you guys ready?
Yes, teacher.
So guys, you've got the floor, so please.
Okay, teacher. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, well, our topic is about climate change, and the climate change refer to long-term change in temperature and water patterns. The emissions that cause climate change come from all parts of the world and affect everyone, but some countries generate much more than others. And actually, we have global agreements to improve climate change, such as the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is an international treaty adopted in 2015. This agreement seeks to reinforce the commitment of different governments in the face of climate change. This is a history agreement because for the first time a global goal was established, which is to keep the temperature below 2 degrees Celsius and make the greatest effort so that it doesn't exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. And also, in addition to this, there are 3 broad categories of action. The first is to reduce emissions, where governments make national action plans according to the situation of each country. And also is economic capacities to contribute the main objective. And the second is adapting to climate impacts. The aim is to strengthen the capacity of societies to cope with the consequence of climate change. And the last one is to finance the necessary adjustment. Here is how that country report on their progress and meet every 5 years to set more ambitious objectives. In addition to this, action requiring significant financial investment by government. A critical step is for industrialized countries to meet their commitment to provide 100 billion annually to developing countries so that they can adapt and move towards greener economies. And the next question is 3.
Okay. And the question number 3 is about warming temperatures. The impacts of climate change include warming temperatures, change in precipitation, and increasing the frequency or intensity of some extreme weather events and rising the sea levels. These impacts threaten our health by affecting the food, the water we drink, the air we breathe, and the weather we experience. The severity of this health, the risks will depend on the ability of public health and safety systems to address or prepare for these changes, threats, as well as factors such as an individual's behavior, age, gender, and economic status. Impacts will vary based on where a person lives, how sensitive they are to health risks, how much they are exposed to climate change impacts, and how well they and their community are able to adapt to change. And the next question, number 4.
Okay, thinking of the different types of populations, such as people who live in cities, rural place, or island, I think climate change will affect them differently, but the severity of the impact will be the same. The electrical system will be damaged. This will directly impact to hydroelectric source, causing lack of water everywhere. temperatures will drop or rise in extreme way, which is not very striking for tourists. The rising sea level will cause permanent flooding, so the tourism sector will also be affected with many loss. Urban areas are exposed to landslides and floods. I believe that the people who live in this place will be the most affected by climate change because many will lose or have lost their homes. And sometimes humanitarian aid to this place is delayed or never arrived. That's all, teacher.
Okay, guys, great, great. So you've got exactly, let me see, you got the 12 seconds, I'm sorry, 12 seconds extra. So that was a good management of time. Let me say, so there is something we could have corrected somehow, and that has to do with the synchronization of the slides and the speech, you know. So the slides were not very well connected to the speech itself. So even though they were there, you know, the slides are used, of course, to give some additional, in this case, in this particular format, to give some visual support to the person who is presenting. But more than that visual support is to give the context and some sort of a background, you know, view, let's say, of what is being presented. But in general terms, I think it was a quite decent presentation. And of course, you know, this is one of those topics that we also need to put in place when you know, making any sort of predictions about the future and everything. I also like the way you put the presentation together, although I believe the questions were very useful. I mean, the questions themselves were very useful for achieving this order, as you started giving all this context and then you ended up talking about the predictions themselves. The point here with that, guys, and that applies to all the presentation, is that having those questions, as you can say, it gives you a very clear structure for your presentation, you see. So that means that whenever you are preparing a presentation, it is not about just presenting the topic or thinking about parts of a topic and talking about them, but also, why not, answering questions. That becomes a little bit more engaging. So I think that's my reflection on this presentation specifically, how the questions help you to come up with a clear and somehow appealing structure. So that's something I really like. Thank you, guys. So let's see what's the next group. Let's see if it, oh my God, this dice is just obsessed with the group number 2. Once again, group
Yes.
number, there you go, group number 10. And that's Angie and Daniela, as far as I know. I think it's just the 2 of them, right?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, guys, so you may present now. So please start sharing your screen so I can click on the
Yes,
start
teacher.
button. There you go.
Can you see my screen? Oh, sorry.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, I am going to talk about the national borders. The first question, we believe that if borders will continue to exist, but in the future, they will be much more secure, yeah? This bound to present more papers, and maybe all countries could put visas to prevent insecurity, but we aren't sure. Okay, the second, we think they could never put walls or things like that, but they will reinforcing security. In reality, they probably put more security filters to enter the country to prevent some social problems. Yeah. Besides, these new security filters will be made in tourist countries, and maybe in some case, won't maybe sorry maybe the people in some case won't be able to travel because it will be something stressful, hard, also tedious. And the 31, my partner.
And the first one, well, the question is, what effect will national borders have on traditional and culture? And if the border are put in place, maybe lost tradition. Angie. Angie? Lost tradition and culture, and maybe not able to make themselves now easily now easily globalization also bring new values and that are not there to us. Now many cultures are be able to interacting with each other, with has the individuality of the culture to fade. And the fourth question, what language will people speak, or will there be just one universal language? Well, this belongs to acquire two or more language native, or maybe many of the culture will mix. That's why we could be learning language to communicate with them. I doubt very much that will there be one universal language. There are too many reasons for this. The first one is that the language changes, and the second one is that the language is identity. Thank you.
So that's it, teacher.
Okay, guys, give me just 1 second. I'll be back in 2 minutes, please. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Seems like they're gonna get the energy supply cut anytime. But let's try to continue as I wait for that. So guys, in terms of this presentation, something I was thinking that we somehow can do instead of like reading the questions just like that, you can also present the questions as topics. That's also a possibility you have. So it sounds more like, not like you're answering to questions that were proposed in the exercise originally, but perhaps to questions that you guys have posed yourselves. That's another strategy that you could follow in these cases. But I think this presentation was good also. You met the expectations we had in terms of time. So I think it was all good. Nevertheless, I know that there was, let me see exactly how many groups we are missing, so we perhaps can cover them a little bit faster. No, I don't think so. So, let's see. Let's roll the dice again. Although there is a point in which the dice is not very fair if we just continue having the same groups. Let's see, guys. So I'm gonna share my screen and let's see what's the next group. So let's get the roll. So it's just the group number 3, guys. Ana Maria Buendia, Diego Llano, and Valeria. So guys, you've got the floor. So you guys ready?
Yes, teacher.
So whenever you want.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I guess we should start. So, what is climate change? Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variation in the solar cycle, but since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oils, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrap around the world, trapping the sun heat and raising temperatures. Examples of greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or a coal for heating a building, for example. Now, talking about this century, from 2011 to 2020 was the warmest decade recorded, with global average temperature reaching 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in 2019. Human-induced global warming is presently increased at a rate of 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. But what we need to take into account, what is important here, is that an increase of 2 degrees Celsius compared to the temperature in pre-industrial time is associated with serious negative impacts on the natural environment, human health, and well-being. These impacts include a much higher risk that catastrophic things without return could happen.
As we mentioned before, humans are the principal responsibles for climate change. Our lifestyle is not environment friendly. Climate change forces us to conceive of development differently, since deep and systemic changes will need to take place if we want to reduce its risk and foster more sustainable lifestyle and consumption patterns. Taking care of the water, stop eating animals, stop producing gases are changes that we must make. If so, maybe we can stop climate change. Many different places around the world are bound to experience several changes due to humans' irresponsibility. One of these places will be Yemen. Both war and climate change will make water shortages and famine more likely. The increase in the temperature of the sea in Colombia may affect corals, which will also influence biodiversity and fishing resources. Furthermore, Kiribati in the Pacific Ocean will have a rise in the sea levels, meaning that Kiribati may be wiped off the map entirely in the coming decades.
Continue with the explanation. Climate change affects how food is produced. Aspects like climate and weather conditions have a big influence in it. In short, climate change is putting food production at risk. Yield growth for wheat, maize and other crops have been declining in many countries due to extreme heat, severe weather and droughts by some estimates in the absence of effective adaptation. Global yields could decline by up to 13% by 2050. Also, water is essential for human survival and had a big impact on life. But with the high temperatures and the contamination of rivers and small streams, water is not as possible to use as we used to employ it. On the other hand, human health is impacted by climate change due to weather phenomena, ocean temperatures rise, hurricanes, and plagues of mosquitoes and ticks. Everyone is affected by climate change, but in reality, vulnerable communities are the most affected. It is time to change. There is not a plan B. And that's all.
Wow, guys, that was fantastic. I love it. That was a magnificent piece of presentation. And there are several ingredients that we must highlight. First of all, the pace was just perfect. And actually, you got 10 seconds extra. So the timing was perfect. Apart from that, the transitions were super, super smooth. So it's like, you know, sometimes when we present in groups, we have to do such a thing, like almost like rehearsing and having super clear exactly when one person finishes and the other one starts, especially in this kind of formats that have got such short time span. So in these cases, we really need to synchronize and coordinate very well. So the transitions were something absolutely great, something we must highlight. That's one thing. Another thing that I really highlight of this is the use of color. You see, that's exactly what you needed to do. One of the reasons why I suggested using the Takahashi format was because you had those restrictions. You couldn't use graphics, you couldn't use pictures or anything. So it was all about putting the right words together, and using color was absolutely an option. Using color to reinforce the message or to create discourse, a line, and that's something you absolutely did. And apart from that, of course, guys, the presentation of each one of you was just great. So that was a really, really good presentation. Another thing that I would like to highlight is the fact that you mentioned real places by the end. So that creates a little bit more of a closer connection. When we use this kinds of connections using real names of things or places and figures, facts, you know, like we all know what that climate change is a serious thing, but when you talk about a little bit the implications for countries and also facts like that what Valeria mentioned regarding how this last decade has been the warmest, that kind of thing, it's something that connects a lot with the audience. So those are aspects that we definitely need to take into account when having a presentation. So thank you very much indeed for your presentation, guys. It was just fantastic. We are missing actually just one group. There's only one group that we haven't called this morning. So I'm crossing my fingers that I will have energy. So we finish with this presentation. So I'm positive we will do it. And that group we haven't called so far is the group number 7, in which we have Danielle and Gerson. So guys, you've got the floor.
Finally, it took the
There you
dice
go.
some sweet time.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, well, this is our presentation. First and foremost, we have problems every day. I mean, we're talking about cleaning, we're talking about cooking, we're talking about taking care of our family and whatnot. So there's this thing nowadays that is automaton robots doing the cleaning all around the house, doing our daily chores. And well, we're pretty grateful of it because technology has evolved in order to help humans get to get the fullest of their time. And that is great, isn't it? Now then, we may be depending too much on them. Honestly, I think not. I think that that's why they were meant. That's why they were born. In anthropology, you could say that a living thing is one who has its own will. Yet technology is far from having an own will. So yeah, we can depend on them on doing the cleaning and doing most of our work that we just don't have time or we're just too lazy to do. Time is in your hands, people. We have to embrace technology. Don't be afraid of it. What, you don't know what to do with your time? Let me help you. First of all, you gotta be happy. Once you embrace technology, you have a lot to think about. Well, what could you do? How about reading a book? Well, you seem like you enjoyed the book, yes. Practice a sport then. Yes, well, you don't seem to do that well at swimming. Well, yeah. Cooking it is then. You're enjoying your time. Very good, very good. What? This is just too much effort and you'd rather relax and take your sweet time. Well, you can always just take a nap, enjoy the rest of the morning, like waking up at 10 a.m., watching a movie past 9 p.m., who knows, instead of worrying about the next day. That's just amazing. And why do I think it's enjoying the most of your time is important? Well, based on a survey that this guy, Tom Scott, did, the best thing voted by almost 1,200,000 people is sleep. So yeah, once you get enough time, you can get enough sleep. That's just amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Will technology provide humans with companionship? Well, the technology will provide companionship for the human, like pet assistance or another role that the human can be assigned to the machine. The human used to assign emotions to the things and the subjectives that the humans are more dependent on the objects. The talks that can develop through artificial intelligence may or may not the IAS, intelligence artificial, could develop with their codes, the environment, and create a society that can live with the humans. Or another possibility is that artificial intelligence is trying to destroy humanity. That could be a possibility, and the codification should be sophisticated by the creation of new technological means because that can be our devastation. We can develop a friendship with technology, meanwhile we're living with this artificial intelligence. But it all depends on the creation of our new friends.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, guys, great. Okay, well, there is a little problem, and I think you know what's the little problem. and that's that there was a little, let's say, violation to the actual format as we were using GIFs, which is absolutely acceptable in a presentation, in a sort of a casual, more informal presentation. You can absolutely do it. But the problem here is not if you use GIFs or not, but the fact that this format required using only text, so we couldn't use any other form of visual display apart from the text. So perhaps if you wanted to be more creative, one option was what the previous group did, which is using colors and different sizes, or even for fonts, I mean. So that was something absolutely possible, but otherwise we had to stick to the format itself. But apart from that, the discourse and the tone that was used in the presentation was also very interesting, was different from the ones that we saw earlier. And that's also nice to say. And apart from that, there is something I would like to highlight from Daniel's presentation, and it has to do with the way he started. Every time we start a presentation, we must somehow try to connect with the audience, making the presentation a little bit more like a conversation, almost like try to connect with the audience, saying like, we all know that this and that. When we say that, when we incorporate the audience into the presentation that way, that might be a very powerful device for engaging the audience. So that was a very nice trick he used there, and that's something I also suggest we consider for our presentations. Okay, so we had one group that we've been waiting since the beginning, and that was the group number 5, Clara, Diana, and Tatiana. So guys, if you will, please start.
Teacher, sorry, I had the problems with the computer.
Okay, no worries. You can start now, guys.
Okay. In recent decades, computer use and internet access have become increasingly important for gathering information, looking for toward and participating in changing world economy. Okay, the people in the future will spend more time online. They have been depending on technology, and the internet is currently used a lot for study, for work, or meeting people from the other countries. So um, impact impact enormously that now we work by 10 minutes and or meeting people from other countries through social networks. Tatiana?
It is possible that people are associated we carry on most of their daily activities online, such as work meetings and home office study, meetings, their physical activities, online appointments, and in the future, this evolution will continue thanks to the advancement of the internet and will be more flexible.
Human relationships have changed materially with the pass of the years. As internet evolves and more social networks appear, we distance ourselves from face-to-face communication. We forget how to talk to other human beings, and we rely on every relationship on internet. On the other hand, internet has helped us to meet people from different countries, and it allows us to know different cultures. without leaving our house.
And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, guys, thank you. So, well, good thing is that you somehow try to stick to the format using just words, which was one part of it. But apart from that, we need to have a more clear dynamic for the presentation itself, since it was pretty much like just trying to answer the questions, and that's it. But there was no argument regarding the way you put the presentation together, and that's something we can say that we can definitely improve. Apart from that, of course, that the tone of voice is essential, guys, and that's one of the reasons why I said at the very beginning this morning that it would be really good if you guys turn on your cameras for your presentations. Only one group did it. That makes and I mean you cannot describe how different that feels, and especially in this delivery method when we are working online. Seeing the people talking makes a huge difference. So if apart from not having the chance to see you guys, your voice does not reflect exactly the pace of your presentation and what you want to put uh, on the table, let's say, that makes it even harder. There are studies that suggest that the body language comprises a very important percentage on the effectiveness of communication, and that is also connected with the tone of voice, so with intonation. So these two factors, I think we don't have them in this case of this presentation specifically, so it makes it way harder to understand and see exactly what is your message, let's say. So I think we are missing us. Oh, wait a minute, give me a second. There you go. I think we are missing just what I've got here. Uh, although there was a very good use of timing, by the way, just the time just expired. I think we are missing just Erika, right? Erika and no more, right?
Yes, teacher. Hi, everyone. Okay. Mm, yes, I'm going to introduce the internet use. Okay. Eh, Thanks to the current pandemic, we all have discovered the immense advantages the internet has. Um, I believe people will argue about spending too much time online, but as always, they will be ignored. Uh, in today's world, we can work, study, and meet new people remotely, and if you go outside your home, you will be attached to your smartphone. Um, so we will not reduce the time we waste online. Um, Nowadays, online video games provide you with a lot of opportunities to be whoever you want to be. For example, the video game Second Life is an online world in which players create virtual avatars and they interact with other avatars and plays. For those who know, feel comfortable in the real world, they see this game an escape from reality. Now, interaction between people seems to be only online. This is because there are too many ways to meet with new people, to talk with new people, to exchange ideas with your friends, even to contact those you have not seen in a lifetime. Uh, this is also a reason why we all are exposed on the internet. We share everything we do. Online, we ask for advice, we publish our stuff for strangers. We don't have privacy anymore. Thinking about cyberspace is too much of science fiction. I don't deny the possibility about having your memory online. It could also be interesting for future generations. They can analyze what was done incorrect by you think a little deeper about it. It could not be as convenient as it looks. That is all, teacher.
Okay, thank you very much, Erika. So in terms of the organization of a presentation itself, there's a little detail that called my attention, and that was the use that you had on this little yellow line that would go around. It's okay, but the point is that it's made me think about something. And it's that at the end of the day, presentations regarding the slides themselves, they're also parts of the I mean different sections in a presentation. So we normally have at least we've got a title, right? Then we have the body of a presentation in which we have the regular slides we use for putting information. But apart from that, we also may use some slides for separating slides. So that's where I would put a slide like that. Because for instance, that yellow line going around calls the attention, but somehow tells people, look, I'm going to tell you something you need to keep in mind. So I would have used that slide just like that in case you were presenting important facts or figures. I mean, by figures, I mean numbers. Or if you were trying to do some sort of, you were trying to separate sections in the presentation. But that's just a miscellaneous comment, I would say. Not a big deal. So guys, I still have got energy. So that's good news. So we had the chance to finish all the presentations in time. Regarding the attendance, no worries. I just took the attendance with the presentations, of course. So there is no need to call it again. And I'm really happy that I still got some energy. Yes, Codensa has been, well, not actually not. I actually want to complain about that. Look at this. When I was, it was on my birthday. That was on August, by the way. I was waiting for a present here. So I was working here and I was expecting that in any moment they would get me a present from the office or whatever. Then I just received a call from the reception and they said that there was a guy from Codensa, and I was like, what? I went down just to see what was going on. And they said that they were going to cut the energy supply because I hadn't paid. And I was like, seriously? So I said, just give me a second. I will just check it out just to see what's the problem. So I came up back here just to check the account, and it happened that a automatic discount hasn't been put in place. So I paid really quick. But then when I went back, he was not there anymore. He was in another room in which they got all this electrical equipment. Then when I went there, I show him that I had just paid. He just saw my cell phone, and then he did some sort of a move inside this cabinet they've got. And then they say, okay, so I don't know if they are gonna charge you anything extra for that, but whatever. And then he left. Nothing happened, and I said, okay, it's okay. Then 1 month later, I just saw that they had charged me this reconexion. So a reconexion for a second, you see? So there you go. I just needed to make this comment about Cadenza, whatever. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Thank you very much for your time and presentations. I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna have some comments on the whole format and some tips that I know that I've got for you. but in general terms, I think it was a very nice exercise. So tomorrow we'll be working again on the project and some guidelines on that. So let's try to refresh your memories on that as well. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye bye.
See you, teacher.
Bye, teacher. See you tomorrow.
Teacher.